Okay, so the final of my 3 videos is going to go through how you need to interact as the person either at tech or as the front of house with each other, and how you need to interact with the runners. And this is a relatively simple process. At the start of the setup, as soon as the front of house has got the it's got the console in place or the PC in place, what they should be doing is putting on the runner headset for the rack in question. And when you go to the setup scene on the mixer, it defaults headset 1 to rack 1, headset 2 to rack 2, headset 3 to rack 3, and so on. You can change this, and you'll need to if there's co-commentators, rather than additional runners in a race. So fader 1 on the mixer is you talking to the runners. So you need to turn up fader 1, and this means you can now talk to the front of house. Great. I'll show you everyone how to do it when you get there. You can then listen to what they're listening to, so that creates an intercom system between you and them for the time of setup. Now, what you need to check is that there's game sound coming into the headset at a good level. You'll be able to judge the game sound relative to the runner, because you're going to be speaking to the runner, and the game sound, you need to make sure it's the correct game sound. So on headsets 2, 3, and 4, you might need to go to the consoles page on the mixer and turn down one rack and turn up another rack. And you need to go through this process for all 4 racks, if 4 are being used. You only need to do it for 2 if 2 are being used. Now, what you want to do is, what the front of house should be doing is making sure the runners are all given the headsets that they need, and then you can start talking to the runners themselves. And what you can check with the runners, you can check with them again. Is your game level okay? Is your mic level okay? Is the mic level of everyone else okay? And then when that's all ready, and you've done the cropping as well, which I explained in the previous video, we're ready to go. So you need to run through a script with the runners that goes something like this. Right, in just about 30 seconds, the host is going to say, welcome to the next run with so-and-so and so-and-so. And then we will change the projector over to the game scene, and we will change the audio over to your microphone. At the point that your microphone is live, you can start your run using the button in front of you, because we are ready. We'd encourage all the runners to do as much of their intro speech, because most runners do a short intro speech, during the first couple of minutes of their run, rather than before we start the timer. And the reason for this is that the YouTube script, which is pretty automatic, cuts about 15 seconds before the start of the button press in order to create a new video. So if they do really long introductions and then start the timer, that's all cut off. I realize this causes some issues if you do SDA timing. However, again, just encourage the runners to not talk too much before they hit the button, because purely for the reason that in the VOD it has major potential to be lost, and we don't go to the time of revisiting all the VODs and manually cropping them in order to give proper intros. Once the run's underway, they should press the button, the timer should start. There's not much more. By and large, try and keep the headphones on. I realize at times you'll want to be chatting to friends and so on and so forth. Most runners have a pretty constant voice, and one of the advantages of having headsets is that people attenuate their voice really quite well when they can hear their own voice. They're not going to start shouting. Like, it's quite a hard thing to do. But sometimes they will, or sometimes you might notice crackling or the game sound cuts out or something like that, and it gives you a cue to action. Should also be watching chat for anyone complaining about sound. That doesn't mean they're right, but it means you should check. Once the run is finished, they will hit the big red button and the timer for their run will stop. And that's pretty much it. The plan this year for YouTube cropping is to put the full intermission on YouTube after the run. So we don't have the situation where the first comment in every YouTube thread is run begins at 20 minutes. I don't think that's a good look. However, it means that if there's any funny moments during hosting during the intermission, we'll be able to share them very easily just through YouTube links. I think that's it for the basic introduction to how the front of house and the person on the tech desk will interact. If you have any questions, please come visit #TechChat on the ESA Discord. I'm trying to endeavor to answer them all. As always, this will be a learning experience. We think our tech setup is now pretty stable. We don't anticipate having to make any changes to the way it operates or the way you operate it for several events to come, basically until we get some sort of pressure to upgrade to 4K. So that'll be quite a number of years yet. So hopefully what this means is that over the next few events, everyone who comes and volunteers for tech comes back to the same setup every time. And that means that knowledge can be passed on a lot more effectively, because at the moment, much of it is just locked up in my head, Edinal's head, Oasis's head. And that's no good place for it to be. It needs to be shared. It needs to be easy to learn. And people need to teach each other, because I can't always be there and Edinal can't always be there. This event, it's going to be the first event using this new workflow. It's going to be hopefully not too difficult, but we can keep our fingers crossed. So thank you very much for watching my small series of videos, and I'll see you at ESA.